Hello and welcome to New Old Glass, a show where I take a look at some of the new old glass I bought, or as my shelf calls it, another one? Really? The Super Takumar 55mm f2. First released in 1962 is yet another excellent Takumar lens in my opinion. The lens has 6 elements and 5 groups, features 6 aperture blades and weighs 164 grams. It boasts an all-metal body. I'm not sure which version of the 55mm f2 I possess, as I found references to models from both 1962 and 1965. Like many Takumar lenses from the 1960s, this one incorporates rare earth elements in its glass, which is the nice way of saying this lens uses radioactive thorium in the glass for the lenses. While I lack a Geiger counter to confirm the lens radioactivity, given Takumar's frequent use of thorium glass in their camera lenses, it's reasonable to assume that this lens is radioactive, similar to its larger counterpart, the 50mm f1.4. As previously mentioned, the lens features an all-metal body and is surprisingly lightweight at 164 grams. The lens utilizes a 49mm thread and comes with an M42 mount, making it easily adaptable to DSLRs and mirrorless camera bodies. When used with my Canon 6D, I found it easy to handle, allowing me to walk around and take photos comfortably. It definitely needs a thorough cleaning and repair though. However, because of the thorium glass, I am unlikely to leave it as is, unless I can find a technician capable of servicing these older lenses. My copy has a problem: the aperture blades cannot fully retract and the focus ring feels as if it's skipping. Using the lens is quite fun, especially when it's wide open. The bokeh is particularly interesting. The bokeh almost feels very painterly. Considering how many bubble bokeh lenses I tested, this feels almost very subdued, which I actually quite enjoy. If I had to suggest how the background looks, it resembles an Impasto style of painting where it integrates with the scene without dominating it. Shooting without a lens hood can produce lens flare, but I find the effect somewhat pleasing. In my experience, this lens can be quite sharp. I discovered its sweet spot towards the end of my testing, between f2 and f2.8. There's this weird little nook on my copy. When I set the aperture to that area, it produces beautiful bokeh backgrounds while maintaining exceptional sharpness. For example, take this photo of this color lily. Now let me crop in 100%. This is incredibly sharp. When shooting wide open, the edges are quite soft, but in the center, it's pretty sharp. It's interesting to see that in some of my tests when stopping down, the lens produces pentagon-shaped bokeh in the background, particularly in this test using a color lily. Since I have all 3 lenses, I want to provide a preview of how the lens shootout will work. I took photos of the Super Takumar 55mm f1.8, the Super Takumar 55mm f2, and the Super Takumar 50mm f1.4. I will not reveal which lens is which yet, but I find it interesting how each one performed during the photo shoot. First up, lens A. It's interesting to see the bokeh. There are some oval shapes and some unusual pentagon shapes. Overall, I find its appearance very pleasing. Next up, lens B. I'm honestly very surprised that at first glance, one might think they look quite similar, but there are some differences, but they are quite subtle. The bokeh in the corners in the left are a little bit different. I can see on lens A there is a bit of a sharp corner, where in lens B it is a bit smoother. Then lens C. Some of the bokeh looks the same, but it's interesting seeing the bokeh making these super bright rings on the outside of the bokeh. There's a little bit of bubbles along the side of the face. I'm not sure what the name is for the glowing circle bokeh. Maybe ring bokeh could work. There's definitely some cat eye bokeh in this one. Looking at all three of them do create a pleasing image and bokeh. Now for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Lens A is the Takumar 55mm f2. Lens B is the Takumar 55mm f1.8. Lens C is the Takumar 55mm f1.4. If I had to choose one I preferred out of this, I would have to go with lens B, the 55mm f1.8. But before we wrap up, I did a test of the f2 at what I call the sweet spot. It's interesting how at the sweet spot it makes more pentagon-shaped bokeh with some light bubbles at the bottom right of the image. In comparison to the rest, the sweet spot is definitely more subdued, especially at the bottom bokeh. I kinda prefer that over the wide open 55mm f1.8. So in the end, the Super Takumar 55mm f2. Was it worth it to buy this lens for my incredibly too large collection? I would say yes. I do enjoy the way the bokeh looks. It's just the handling and the Thorium glass that kinda annoy me. If I can find one in mint condition, I will definitely try and get one. As for where it fits in my collection, I, at one point, wanted to try and collect the Takumar series of lenses. And I still want to try and one day have a good collection of Takumars, but I just realized that's probably never going to happen. I'm not sure if I have any other lenses that give similar painterly bokeh, but I guess we will just have to wait and see, as I got quite a lot of 50mm lenses I want to review for shelf to mount. I would recommend this lens for people who are looking for a portrait lens and are looking for one that gives a more subdued bokeh. And don't mind using lenses that contain Thorium. So that is it for this episode of New Old Glass. What are your thoughts on the lens? How do you feel about Thorium-based lenses in general? And do you have a favorite among the Takumar series? And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.